Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel once again for another PSGL E-Series video on the F122 game. And yes, I just want to say thank you so much for the support on the most recent video, our first on the F123 game. I'm just going to try and do my best to rattle through these E-Series videos before the official release on the 13th for the Champions Edition and the 16th for the Standard. Yeah, very much looking forward to getting some content in for you guys on the new game. But for now, we're going to try and get through these videos in the next week or so before the release. And yeah. Anyways, back to it now in Miami. It's been a strong start to the season. We've got to say, 4 wins from 4 for the team. And heading into round 5, we're going to look for another great haul of points and see if we can keep our streak going here. But yeah, definitely not a strong suit for me, this track. This is my first ever league race in this track. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not really sure what to expect. We made some very last minute changes to the setup heading into this race. Basically took all of the downforce off, as you'll be able to see from some of our straight line speeds later on. But yeah, I think, yeah, looking back on it now, is we were optimistic. The pace wasn't super bad in qualifying, but yeah, it was a little bit tricky to drive the car at the best of times. But yeah, back in the car today with Will Lewis. Alvaro is away for this race, so hopefully he can have some good redemption for a slightly unfortunate race for him in Zandvoort. But this is definitely one of his best tracks, if not his best track on the game, so I'm sure he'll do a great job for the team. But now heading on towards the first lap of Q1, we come across the line to set a 26.6 banker, and it's not great. Immediately displaced by our teammate, who is very pleased with that 26.3, and he'll easily sail through to the next part of qualifying with that lap. But for us, we are going to have to go again. Not feeling too comfortable on that 26.6. We feel as if the cut-off time for Q1 will be around that kind of pace. Obviously, Miami is one of those tracks where it's not been driven a super large amount. Obviously, with the esports tracks, the cut-off times tend to be pretty quick, as the leagues tend to recycle them quite a lot. But Miami, it's probably going to be a little bit more spread, but a time like that will still probably have you on the edge. And heading on to the first really long DRS straight here, we are just a couple of hundredths up on our lap, so we're going to have to try and find a bit more of an improvement through the second half of the lap if we want to guarantee our place through to the next part of qualifying, through this super tight and technical section. So easy to mess it up, and we navigate that pretty well. Clip the curb on the inside, which is not ideal, which loses a little bit of time, and we don't get a great traction there, but nevertheless, we are having the DRS open now in towards the last proper corner of the track. Super tight hairpin, and really easy to go deep on the brakes. But we rotate through there decently well, head up to the line, flat out, little bit of DRS, and we go P5 with the 26.4. So not a great lap, but it sees us easily through. And it turns out our first lap would have just been enough to get us through, but definitely not worth the risk. Heading on to Q2 now, sticking on a banker on the old tyres, 27.0. Nothing to write home about. But now starting our first fresh tyre run here in Q2, sitting P5 in that banker stage, and trying to pick up as much time on the traction as possible. And you can just see like the behaviour of the car on this low downforce setup was not great through the whole of this event. It wasn't so noticeable through qualifying, but you can see here having to take it super careful through this long left-hander. So easy to understeer or make the car snap in ways that you definitely wouldn't want. But now this is where we're going to reap our rewards down this super long straight, hitting up to what, 345 kph by the end of the straight. It's absolutely insane. But now back to reality, into these twisty zones. We are 4.5 tenths up on our banker, and missing the apex ever so slightly. Had to take a couple of stabs at the steering so we didn't clip the inside wall. Otis Lawrence goes to the top of the leaderboards and gets replaced by Alexander Kraft. But we are going purple through the middle sector with the DRS Open once again on this second super long straight. Seeing what top speed we can hit. Once again, 346 into the braking zone. Going a little bit wide of the apex, trying to get it rotated as quickly as possible. Jack West goes to the top with a 26.1. We are going to come across the line and replace him with another 26.1. And that should see us easily through to Q3, which it did. And Will Lewis joined us this time in Q3, which is great to see.
Nice sort of easy banker
and
to beat,
we come across the line once again to start Q3 on a fresh set of tyres. We went slower than our Q2 time, which is not ideal, but now we have a banker to chase, heading on to our last attempt now in Q3. I believe a good time around Miami was a mid to high 25, I believe. But yeah, it's a really tricky track to try and extract everything, especially with the dodgy chicane in the sector 2 section, and it's so easy to run out wide here, of obviously being strictly policed by the PSGL stewards, so taking absolutely no risk through there. And it's not been a great sector 1. I think it's a little bit off what we've been doing in general. I think we were doing 0.6s in practice, so to do an 8 flat is not ideal, but we are 1/10 up now, heading towards the middle of sector 2 here, once again through this tight and twisty section. How much risk are we going to take? We're going to get nice up and close against the wall, ride the curbs nicely, a little bit wide of the apex there, which is going to cost us now all the way down this straight, losing a little bit of time on rotation. But now we have, as we say, one proper corner to go here of this Q3 lap. How much risk are we going to take onto the brakes? Decent amount. Hook up that apex. Not too bad. A little bit of a wiggle in the middle of the corner. And you can see by our face, it's not a very satisfying lap. 25.9. And we go P2 behind Thomas Runhar. But it did end up being P2 on the grid, so we can't complain too much about that one. Obviously not too happy to be a little bit off our PB.
Right, good luck, Shanako.
But
good luck.
It's a good place to start behind arguably the quickest man on this game. So we're going to wait for the 5 red lights here, and lights out and away we go. And we're going to try and get a good traction off the launch. But as you can see, Otis Lawrence drawing up alongside us. We do not get a good launch at all. And we get a little bit boxed in here, so we're going to have to back out and filter in behind these 2 young talents here of the F1 esports, I'll say industry, because Otis isn't on the grid yet, too young at the moment, but he'll certainly be there in the future. Great young talent, part of the McLaren Academy. But whilst I'm speaking about that, I have another young talent up my inside in the form of Jack West. And what we very quickly noticed is that we were very low on the downforce. Jack West running significantly higher than us, and easily able to get up our inside through the tight and twisty section towards the end of sector 1 there. We're trying to pressure him towards the end of the straight, but nothing doing there. So we're just going to have to filter in behind for now. So we've lost a couple of places off the start, which is not ideal. And in practice, we were not feeling great in the race.
Beautiful, Will.
To be honest, as our teammate Will Lewis is getting his elbows out and is up into P6 at the start of the race.
Christ.
So it's a good start for the team.
Rough start, chat.
Snacky will get
not a
Jack
great race
West
for myself.
They are so much slower up the straight.
As we hear there from our teammate, that we are looking pretty good in terms of straight line speed. But yeah, my race pace in practice was not great. Will's was looking really, really good.
Why was this fan so far up the inside? So stupid.
So we're going to do the best we can as the leaders battle. And that's something we absolutely love to see. Skipping on to the middle of lap 4 here.
Yeah, streams just went down.
And the leaders are going at it once again.
They're battling up
Otis
front.
and Thomas, both of them wanting to lead this race. And for now, they are still going side by side.
Both of them are on basically max
tight section here.
Yeah, I know.
And it's very risky what they're doing at such an early point of the race. This could end up being a little bit messy, as I think they made a little bit of contact there as we emerge onto this back straight. So we're just going to play it patient.
We'll just play the long race.
Try and save where we can. Obviously we have
one of
the
them
ability to save a little bit more with the low downforce, which is good. As long as we can stay close through the technical first sector, which is very heavily reliant on downforce. And I think a trend you'll start to see through this race. We're able to close through the second half of the lap, but through the first part we do lose quite a lot of time, and our confidence through that section really wasn't high. Skipping on a few laps later, we have dropped a little bit off the back of this top three, and I think they are going to go for it once again. And as Otis runs into the back of Thomas Ronhaar here, and you have to take evasive action here.
Oh my!
And we move up into P3, Jack West into the lead.
That's
and yeah, their battling went a little bit too far, I think.
Jesus Christ, what's going on? Otis is all
I think with these differing downforce levels as well, the braking points people are taking are drastically different to each other. And I think Otis, maybe running a little bit higher downforce, ran into the back of an early braking Thomas, potentially. I haven't watched the POVs back, but whatever it was, it's benefited us. So we will absolutely take that up into P3 at the end of lap 8. And yeah, we have to just try our best to try and stay close through this first sector.
Matthias does have battery,
half a second gap off the back of these two.
Yeah, I believe so.
And we tend to lose a couple of tenths at least through this first sector, as you can see, nearly up to 8 tenths as Thomas Ronhaar retakes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. And we're sitting behind here, nothing doing for the time being, and there's no need to take any risk at this first stage, you know, destroying all of our battery.
Jack's starting to struggle,
but now, skipping on to the end of lap 13, the gaps are starting to spread. Thomas Ronhaar sets the fastest lap of the race and is starting to burn that battery, trying to spread the pack out. And Jack West is in severe danger here of falling out of the DRS detection zone. And so are we, to be honest. 8 tenths almost through this first section, and
that probably helps.
Yeah, losing time all the time through this first sector, as you'll be able to see.
No point worrying about him.
It's the car is not giving us what we need through this first sector, as we approach almost 9 tenths now, starting this first long straight. But we are just about going to sneak in, as is Jack West. So panic averted for the time being. But now, as we approach the pit window, people are going to be burning that battery and trying to sort of earn themselves some track position when they come out of the pits, and try and create some gaps to come out into. But yeah, for the time being, we are just doing our best to try and stay in the wheel tracks of these two up front. And despite our lack of confidence on this track and in this setup, we are in a decent position for the team. Obviously not where we want to be, but yeah, anything can happen later on into the race. And as we approach the pit window, looking forward to getting onto the medium tyres and having a little bit more confidence in the car, as Jack West peels off into the pit lane. And now we are going to try our best to close up onto the back of Thomas Ronhaar, but that's very much easier said than done, as we're sort of maintaining that 1 second gap as Duncan Hoffman pits behind us. And then we started to lose the back of Thomas Ronhaar, so we decided to jump into the pits here, go for a little bit of an undercut and try and get ourselves back into the race for the win. But once again, as in France, we speed into the pit lane.
Man.
And yeah,
what's the point in risking?
We are severely stupid, I guess. Yeah, just unnecessary risks that we've taken recently, and yeah, we've now got ourselves a 5 second penalty now heading into the end of the race. And as I've said before, with this field, that could send us down right to the bottom of the top 10, if not worse, at this stage. Obviously,
why do I bother league racing?
In a track like this, the pack is generally a bit more spread. As I said earlier, with the F1 Esports not coming here, people's pace is a little bit more spread out, as we do perform the undercut on Thomas Ronhaar. And we are now trying to get within the DRS zone of Jack West, which we do. We set the fastest lap of the race. So we were in a golden position here for the end of this race. Obviously a little bit low on the battery, but we were in a place that we could sit here and save. As Thomas Ronhaar now has got a temperature in the tyres. He's now starting to close up onto the back of our second fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But yeah, guys, even on a track where we were severely struggling, we have found ourselves in a battle for the win, but unfortunately we have thrown it away. But at the moment we are not giving up. Going to try and just complete this race in as fast time as we can. But in these few laps, I've definitely lost my head.
Did you try and go up the middle?
To be absolutely truthful, like I was just battling for absolutely no reason, and this, like what I was doing here, was just absolutely pointless. And I think I've just realised at this point, like, what am I realistically doing? What I'm doing now is actually hurting me towards the end of this race.
Brilliant.
As I reluctantly let Thomas Ronhart and Jet West go here on the left. And when I say let them go, I definitely didn't voluntarily let them go. But at this point, yeah, I realised I just need to cool my head and just get on with my race. Obviously, we have a 5-second penalty to serve. These guys are no longer in my race, and we just have to try and limit the damage now.
Gap to P9 is 4.5 to me.
Just a few laps to go. And now we're just having to hear about the gaps now from the back of our teammate Will Lewis, who's, I believe, sitting in provisional P6. Nope, not P6, because that's Duncan. So we'll be in P7 then, I imagine, just in front of Matthias van Erven in the second Haas car. And yeah, we've been passed by Otis now after a little bit of a mistake down into the first corner, and the second of the Parnell racing cars pass us in the form of Islam Pookie, as we saw earlier with Jet West running significantly higher downforce. As we lock up into the last corner.
What has he done there?
And Duncan Hoffland nearly spears into the back of us. So I have no idea what happened. I think he must have, checked the wrong board for his braking point. But that's great for us, because he has got wing damage and he's fallen way outside of our 5-second window. Now heading on to the last lap, we are, with the 5-second penalty, we are on for a P6 finish here. If we can just possibly pull out another half a second to Matthias van Erven, as he does have some corner cutting penalties here. There's a 3 seconds. So if he can pull a net 2-second gap to him, we are looking for P5 and 6 for the team here. And given that we have a penalty, we cannot complain with that. Obviously our battle is more so with Parnell at the moment, and they are both ahead of us. So we're going to be losing some points respected to them. But if we can take this P5 and 6 home, that would be some definitely good damage limitation here. And we would preserve our championship lead heading over to Canada, which I believe is the next round. But now heading through the end of Sector 2, we are 3/10 away from that 2-second
oh, yeah, mate, it's on me.
window, as Matthias and Will Lewis come together through that tight, twisty section. Matthias just ran into the back of our teammate there, but we have now escaped that 2-second penalty range.
Go get penalty.
So if you could just get round the last corner as we lock up there, if we can get around the last couple of corners above that 2-second range, we can come away here with a top 5 finish with a 5-second penalty. What's it going to be across the line? It is almost 3/10. We are safe, and our teammate comes home P7 on the road. So not a bad day out for the Williams team. Obviously not where we want to be. We were in the fight for the win before we backed off there, but fortunately for us, Matthias was given an extra 5-second penalty for the incident, I believe, or something earlier on in the race. Actually, it wasn't to do with Will Lewis's incident with him, but yeah, we come away with a P5 and 6, and we have approximately a 70 point lead, just under 70 points, heading into the midway point of the season. So yeah, can't complain too much about that. Obviously a missed opportunity with us making a silly mistake in the pits, and if we hadn't learned our lesson in France, we really need to learn our lesson now, because silly mistakes like that, yeah, obviously it didn't cost us anything in terms of points on the road, but had I not had that penalty, I would have been fighting a lot harder with the guys in front of me, and potentially could have had a better finishing position on the track. So yeah, we'll take the lessons here and move on to the next one, which will be Canada. But yeah, as for this video, I hope you've very much enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.